from doing this as well. So let's do this together, okay? All right. So for me, prayer started very young. You know, as a Christian, my journey towards getting to know the Lord was kind of unique. If you read the book, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But I started praying very, very young, and I don't remember anyone really being a model for me with regards to my prayer life, except maybe my grandmother, who used to drag me along with her when she was going for her prayer ministry. And I think I remember at that time I was maybe as young as 4 or 5. And it was very it was very impactful, I think, having that experience of going for prayer meetings with my grandmother. But prayer started very young, and and I was very inspired to discover faith, even without knowing really, like even without formally giving my life to Christ. I was inspired to discover my faith at a very young age because of some of the pressures and experiences that I had as a child. The moment that I made a choice to fully give my life to Christ was probably when I was about, I would say maybe 15 or 16. And it was just me reading a Christian tract, and just kneeling down beside my bedside and just committing my life to Christ. And I remember specifically saying, if I give my life to you, I want to find peace, I want to find satisfaction, and I want to just experience your guidance, leadership, and prosperity throughout my life. And those were the things, the quests that led me to give my life to Jesus. The book of 10 testimonies that I'm going to be discussing is just, it just represents a fraction of all the many times that, I've truly seen that the Bible is true. I've truly prayed and I've really experienced answers that, there's no way of explaining other than God answered the prayer. I know sometimes we want to feel like something that happened is a coincidence or it's happenstance, but I hope that as I share some of these testimonies and expatiate on some of the things that I've written in the book, you also come to believe that God indeed does answer prayer, and that one of the best things that one can do as a Christian is to have a very fruitful relationship with God as it relates to prayer. Like, really every day praying. And one of the main objectives of me making this post about prayer is also just to point out and to help everyone to understand that, we sometimes think that we have to have this formal time when we kneel down and we close the door, or we do something formal and say, okay, this is the set time to pray. I would like part of what I achieved by making this post to be dispelling that notion and helping people to understand that prayer is just a conversation. Like, even if you're in trouble and you say, oh God, Father, help me, that is a prayer. Because if you look in the Bible, a lot of times when Jesus prayed, it was conversational. It wasn't anything where he was kneeling down and closing his eyes and doing any big ceremony. He was just saying, Father, bless this food, or Father, do this. And very conversational, very short, quite a few times. And the power behind prayer is really the relationship that you have and the faith that you have in the words that you're speaking. So in other words, you can say 4 words, and if you truly believe those 4 words that you said, and you have the strength and backing of a sound relationship that's rooted in faith in Jesus, those 4 words that you just spoke could be more powerful than somebody who spends 1 hour praying and fasting too, you know? And so that's what I want to capture as I go through some of these testimonies. And again, this is just a fraction. There's just been a lot more, and hopefully I will be following up this book with additional writings about my experience of how real and how effective prayer can be. So I hope that you tune in as I continue to talk, hopefully weekly, and post hopefully weekly about this this book and this exposition on prayer. Let me end by talking about the photographs that are on the channel, because I'm sure some people might wonder, the one, especially the one about the cross, and the one about the photograph that has the cloud that looks like a cross. I want to talk about that. That is a picture that I took myself, and it's something that appeared in the sky after a period of fasting and prayer for about 3 days. It was 3 days of fasting and prayer, and on the last day, I think the day that the prayer ended, or the day that the prayer was supposed to end, I saw that in the sky, And, I mean, some people might want to say it's just coincidental, but in my heart, I felt it was an answer to that which I was waiting upon God for, and which I was asking was a sign. And I want to use that example to say that a lot of times God really does answer and speak to us through signs that, if we're not paying attention, we'll either think that they're coincidences or happenstances, or we may not even think that they mean anything, So as I discuss more about my experience praying and receiving answers through prayers, I would encourage that, we look around us and pay attention to the things that happen when we pray. Because my belief and my experience is that there's really nothing that happens that is a coincidence in the life of a prayerful person, a prayerful Christian. There's really nothing that's happenstance. There's really nothing that's a coincidence, and that we just all need to get better at, really, when you're praying, expecting. So when you pray and you expect, then you're able to make better sense of the things that are happening, which, if you're not otherwise attentive, you would probably dismiss as being, inconsequential. So I just want to point that out. I prayed, I fasted for 3 days, and that sign that appeared in the sky was, for me, it ministered to me God's presence, God's forgiveness, and God's daily grace to provide, especially in light of the things that I was praying about and asking God for. And I want and encourage you to look in your life when you're in a time of prayer, when you're asking God for guidance or for direction. Pay close attention to what's happening around you. Sometimes God speaks in a small voice. Sometimes He sends a sign. Sometimes He uses other people. Sometimes He uses signs that you might see on the road as you're driving. But God is always speaking. And so if you're someone who's in need of ministration, or you're praying to God about something, pay attention, be attentive to what's happening around you, and you will find that sometimes He's answering, or He's speaking to you, He's directing you, He's guiding you, and that's part of growing in your walk with God as someone who's prayerful. So I will hopefully upload another post with discussing the first chapter of my book, and I look forward to helping and being part of your journey, and also growing along with you as you tune in, hopefully weekly, to listen to this series on prayer. Thank you so much. Bye bye.